All right, so I guess that's my number five and three done. So I'll go to number four.
Hmm.
Um, Dynamic Duo One, Taxi Driver,
Woo! We
and
got a hit. We got a hit.
and kind of as I said earlier, 일집들, and this is definitely the case. Like,
Yeah.
if you know about like the history of CB Mass and Dynamic Duo, so
Yeah.
for the young bloods out there who don't know, CB Mass was the group of three, Cheza, Keko, and Kerbin, and they were like full underground, and they came up with like three fucking banger albums. And then
Absolute
yeah.
bangers. Yeah.
Coben was the leader and the older kind of producer within the team. But then at the
Yep.
time, this is like at the time of Iori 10 minute.
Underground scandal.
Yeah. I don't know if it's true. I think it is, but anyway, it doesn't
No,
matter.
no, I don't think it's true. But
Yeah,
anyway, yeah.
don't let the truth get in the way of a good story,
Yeah,
as
yeah,
Boss
yeah,
says.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Coben was like trying to like kind of like flirting around with Yodi or whatever, and this is when Yodi was trying to put on the whole hip hop with 10 minute and shit like that. Maybe he was involved in producing that album, and he spent a lot of money trying to impress Yodi, and then basically fucked over CBMS like 사기쳤어. So Cheza and Gecko were like 좋댔, and then they kind of the group split, and they were like in this massive debt, and they were kind of 졸라
Yeah.
힘들게
He just
살다가
took the money. He just took the money,
yeah
basically. Yeah, yeah.
졸라 힘들게 살다가, and then they came up with this fucking banger of an album. And I think first track, like that first sound made in an
이력서.
album, is
Mm.
very significant, and this is no exception. The first track,
Yeah.
이력서,
Ah, shit.
um yeah, do, and then
Yeah, you
with the
guys have
scratch,
to
whoever
check
does
it
the
out,
scratch,
as I
the
said.
dynamic duo,
Oh.
um, yeah. What's the first? What is the very first words?
The first line, I think it's like 내 박자
No,
사랑하는.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then
yeah,
like
like
yeah, I think and we're gonna do like the best verses of K-pop at
yeah,
some
yeah.
time.
We'll do lines another
Yeah,
time. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah,
셋보다 나은 둘 제작의 코니까 that's how the
yeah, yeah.
fucking
The
track
ending.
ends. That first
Yeah,
track.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so 이력서, and then there's like other tracks like Superstar. So there was lots of
Superstar. Yep.
단체곡s like G Up 단체곡s back in this
Mm-hmm.
time, and they were
Getting the
part of
track
the
list.
movement crew. So
Yeah, yeah.
DT and whoever in that track. 불면증 with Bobby Kim, like
아,
one of the
불면증은
one of the
진짜.
classics.
음.
엄마 약봉지 and shit like that, like with that guitar, acoustic guitar. Ring My Bell with Naol, and then they talk about it in a recent interview on Moneygraphy, or like anyway one of the YouTube
Yeah,
channels.
yeah, yeah.
Um, they knew that as soon as Naol got on board, this title song was going to be a hit, and
Yeah,
it was
ring
a,
my
it was a
bell.
very safe
Yeah.
kind of move for them to sample like a very famous song, and then to add that hip hop beat, and then they kind of eventually just um, perfected this formula of 대중도 잡고 힙합 씬도 잡고, and
Yes,
then they
yes, which
produced
they
like so
did
many
very well.
so
Yep,
many good
yep,
albums.
yep.
So
I mean that track was deliberately put in there probably for that reason, but it was still a banger, like
yeah, no
for
doubt.
the hip
Like
hop fans. Yeah, yeah,
because everything was on top of like these like tantanan rap. Like
yep.
there was no doubt. Like, and these two were like two of top MCs in Korea, and Keko especially. Like he was
Keiko especially
very
at the time.
very
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And then like Cheza kind of came up slower, I reckon. But yeah. So that was my number four.
And that is also my number four. DD1.
Oh, okay.
DD1 taxi drive. Bro, I call me like a motherfucker about DD2 or DD1,
Yep.
but I put
You
DD1
too,
in
huh?
there.
Okay.
Yeah, I did, but then it just went back to that criteria as you said, like whack tracks versus blah blah blah. Like I just didn't feel like it had as many good tracks that were significant at the time, and that I listened to over and over and over at the time. Now, this is the
So
beauty of a yeah.
so DD2 was the reason that it was up so high. Was it because of Quebec or like
Callback,
other
yeah,
tracks?
yeah,
Okay,
callback,
okay.
callback, callback,
Yeah,
callback. Because
huge,
yeah,
huge impact in the
huge
scene.
track,
Yeah,
yeah, huge
yeah.
track, and callback was like just like again we talk about I think like that just like this genre being at particularly at the time being a 남자 like being a guy masculinity genre, right? And so a lot of the topics are about that. And then yeah, just talking about like being old and then they have to go to like the army because in Korea you have to go to the army for 2 years or whatever. And again, shit that doesn't like affect us directly, but then like we would just be like, yeah, fuck, man, this is like, yeah, like reflecting back on life and shit. And we're in high school and shit. That's how good it was. Later on, that track actually did pick us in it because we were fucking getting older, and I was listening to that in my late 20s and then directly reflecting with the track. But anyway, yep, it didn't make it, but DD won. Um, so this is the beauty of it. So some tracks here that I probably loved way more than you, and you love some tracks way more than me.
Mm.
Whatever. That's the beauty of it. But for me, there was so again, it was the intro. Like we had skits and shit back then. So obviously, Edox are fucking straight up the bang. I
Mm.
actually remember me and you as
Mm.
kids talking about it
Mm.
because Edox was a big thing,
So
and
we did.
CB Mass was my favorite, right? I think you know that CB Mass was my
Yep.
favorite at the time, and then like when they split up and then DD came out, I was really looking for that. As soon as I got a list to it, we both like, I was like messaging you on fucking thing and our fucking Nokia phones being like, bro, first track, like that, yeah, that track just I remember listening to it.
Yep.
Because this was back then, like you don't fucking go on your phone and just go to any track. You put the CD in, and then
Yep.
that
And
first
it's
track
like
was just
reading
like,
reading the lyrics and then
yeah, oh,
don't you
man, that's
clap
so good.
that
I was just
dynamic
going
duo.
off. Yeah, anyway, it has this interlude and shit, but yeah, the one of the songs is called Tunamja, means two guys. Again, back to that topic of being guys and shit. Those tracks about like this fucking Korean salaryman and like in Korea there's that whole you work like a dog, like all that sort of shit. That still exists. Another topic for another day. But yeah, just focusing on being a Korean man and
Yeah,
like
Boz loves the Korean hustle
yeah,
fucking narrative. That
yeah,
image.
yeah. That
Yeah,
theme, yeah,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
just got like this guy talking about like how he used to be a fucking in his 20s, he used to be a fucking rager, and then now he's just like making money in a fucking Korean company for his wife and kids and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that shit just hit me, and now to this day, it's actually real because that's what I'm doing now. But yeah, like shit like that, and then it had like this track also called Piguk as well. I don't know if you remember that, but it's just like shit about like just random stories,
그
but like
TVN
dark
아닌가?
themes.
아닌가? Okay.
No, KOD featuring KOD,
Okay,
right? Yeah,
okay.
they're OG members and shit. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's just got like dark themes, like this girl was a good girl and then met
STD?
some.
Oh no 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 no! I know the song. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
like so,
it's not
like
STD, but well, or maybe it is. But
no, like yeah, I think it is, but
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
but basically like the theme is that like there was a good girl and then she met a bad guy and then she got fucked and then became a really bad girl.
Yeah, yeah,
Blah
yeah.
blah blah. Yeah, just shit like just themes that would not make the Korean pop mainstream. Yeah, again and shit. I'll be like, oh man, it's crazy. And it had again that theme of, as you said, the Korean work hustle, like Buindo. It's like basically it's an island with no one on it. And again, this was what made me learn Korean a lot because I didn't know what muindo means. Like, and then I would have to like ask mom or I have to like look it up, and that's how I really learned Korean. But yeah, this is about the hustle of like Korean like working life, this urban jungle, like Seoul City. 20 million people in that city as a metropolitan. It's massive, and like people just working, and then like it's just about wanting to escape to like an island where no one's there and shit. I was like, I don't know. As a kid, I'm feeling this shit, and now as an adult, I fucking feel it 100%. But like as a kid, even that's how good these hip hop was at the time because it was just like making me feel that shit as a 15-year-old or whatever I was.
Yeah, I don't know if
So
this is true, but Window might have been produced by one of my friends. Well, one of my yeah,
Oh yeah, I remember you mentioned that. Yeah, I thought,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you're a fucking Choding friend or some shit,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So back then,
Can you
like
mention
my
the
friends
producer's name?
that I knew from Korea, they were all really into hip hop then as well,
Yeah.
and one of their friends was producing at the time. But anyway, I for me, My World was like another
Yeah.
really important track
Yeah.
as well because I
Yeah.
love the theme of like 부모님. That kind of
Yep.
adds
Yep.
the 감동 kind of code into hip hop.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, I guess one of the reasons that we loved hip hop was because it wasn't just about 사랑 노래, which
Oh
okay,
yes.
pop
Yes.
pop just was, and
Yep.
I guess we didn't have much success with girls, so we didn't really have that. We couldn't we
It's
couldn't
hard to relate.
we couldn't relate to that, so we're looking for other things.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Fuck. Good
All
point.
right.
Good point.